everybody. Welcome back. This is Journal Through It, and I'm really excited today to share some new journaling techniques with you, but I wanted to check in and see how everyone was doing. We are in our fourth week, which is crazy to think of. This is our fourth week of journal content, and yeah, things are changing quickly day by day. So I just wanted to see how you were doing, or ask how you were doing, and let you know that we all know art heals, and now more than ever, having some sort of creativity in your life to escape to, whether it's working in a sketchbook or an active journal practice, can be a really great retreat and respite from the news and what's happening in the world. So really grateful that you are here this morning and thinking about inviting some creativity into your days. So Ardith was with you yesterday, and she had a really great couple of prompts related to penguins and cheese, and it was really fun to have her back. I'm glad that she's feeling well enough to be teaching again. Prior to her, at the end of last week, we did some contour drawings together, and on Friday I showed you how to juice your contours up with the addition of watercolor-like elements. So this was the last page that we did together on Friday, and I wanted to also give you a little peek inside my painter's brain, because the things that I do in my journals often show up in my actual artwork or my paintings. For those of you who don't know, I am a working artist. That's actually my career, is making art, selling it through my website and galleries to collectors, as well as teaching. But this is one of my more recent paintings, and you can really see how important contour lines and the whole concept of drawing and finding those edges is to my finished work. So I just thought I would share that with you, and let you know that your journaling practice can be a space where you can just completely retreat to and do your own thing. You can also take some of these ideas in your book and elevate them and create other pieces of art from them. So today what I wanted to talk to you about, or the concept that I wanted to share with you, is one that's been around for a really long time. Let me set this over here. And that's the idea of zentangling. And I'm not really sure who invented the word or the concept even, but zentangling is a way of, it's just basically complex doodling. And it's so much fun to make. It's really relaxing. It's a super meditative, almost prayerful type of practice, and a great escape, I think, which is something we could all use this week. So I wanted to share this idea with you and introduce you to how you can begin to create complex designs with just a couple of simple approaches to your page. So this is a page. It's a number of years old now, and it includes Zentangle designs, which you see with these dots and these stripes and these repeated leaf patterns, checkerboards, dashes, some more stripes, fish scales, spirals with rays. Herringbone is basically just a checkerboard pattern set on its side. We have some, I don't know what that's officially called, but there's some squiggles there. It's basically a shape. Zentangling is a shape that is repeated over and over again, and it creates a pleasing design. And when you integrate a number of shapes together, the complexity becomes all the more intriguing. So it looks super complicated to do, but it's actually really, really easy. The first thing that you want to do when you sit down to Zentangle, or I think maybe the two biggest things, is to choose your surface that you're going to tangle on, as well as the tool that you're going to work with. For one, in order for the Zentangle to show up, you need there to be some contrast. You need the tool that you're drawing with to be darker than the surface that you're drawing on. Here is another example of a Zentangle. This is white ink on a black ground. A lot of the same sorts of things. You see fish scales. Here's some spirals. These ones happen to have tails. We have pearls, these circles with the little highlight on them. Leaves, stripes, circles. So this page is all of the same elements that you see on the green page. It's just done in white lines on a dark page. So you want to think about the surface that you're going to draw on as well as the tool that you're going to use. Those really are the two main things in a Zentangle. It's not super complicated and you don't have a whole lot of tools. Remember when we did our sampler last week where we took a number of the writing utensils that we had available to us and we tested their water fastness. What we also got to see was the quality of line that they made. Some of them made very light, soft lines. Other ones made harder, darker lines. And when you're working with a design that you want to be pretty visible, you want to choose something that's got a sharper line with it. So I just wanted to point that out, or a crisper line. A tool that makes a really, really soft line is not going to give you as dramatic or easily a Zentangle that's as easily visible. So I have a number of different tools here. Pencils we're going to need to make a pencil plan with, but with respect to drawing, this gold pen probably isn't a great choice for this white paper, so I'm going to set that aside. The pink pen would be really fun. A white gel pen would be fabulous if my paper had some more color to it, but it doesn't at this point. I've said before how much I love these flare pens, and I also really like the ballpoint pens, or the gel pens. If I go to my sheet over here and I look these up, it looks like this pink pen won't move. This one will move a little bit, and I know that my flare is going to move a lot. And I'm going to Zentangle on a piece of paper this morning that I want to glue down on another surface. So because I'm introducing the idea of glue and potentially water, I'm going to put these two pens aside for now, and this is going to be the one that I'm going to choose because I know it won't move and I know it makes a nice crisp line. So then the next thing that I want to do is choose my page. I can Zentangle on a plain piece of paper, or I could Zentangle on something else. I have some scraps of paper here, just from my collage cart. This is actually the inside of an envelope, and it looks like it has some paint on it. This also has a lot of paint. The surface looks kind of shiny. I'm not sure that my paint pen will, or my pen will stick to that without moving, so I'm going to set that one aside. This one's pretty good, but I think the pattern is probably too busy to put a busy pattern over top of, so I'm going to save that for something else. And this is an old journal that I have, and the pages they have a lovely sparkle to them. They would be really fun to work with. I think I want to pull a page out of here that maybe isn't too busy. That would look great with the pink lines. Ooh, this one would. Okay, I think I want that. Ooh, and that one's cool too. I'm going to take this one right here and I'm just going to cut it out. This is an older book that I'd kind of forgotten about. And the pages are so pretty. And look, they're double-sided too. So I could do something really fun with this down the road. I think I'm going to Zentangle on this side of the page. it should be interesting to see what happens with the patterns when they move from the color to the white. So I'm going to write down what we're doing here. The process that we're doing is called zentangling. And there's actually a website online called zentangle.com. Years ago, when I first started teaching this process, go Mo, go. When I first started teaching this process, the zentangle.com website was a great space for designs and information on tangling. Now it's turned into more of an e-commerce site, and I still love all the content that's there, but I just feel like I need to disclose that I'm not an affiliate of that site. I don't get any sales or kickbacks or anything, nor have I ever purchased anything from them. But I have recommended that site in the past to my students, and we've certainly benefited from the information that's there. So I want to share that with you. I also have this worksheet, and there is a link to this worksheet on my website, KimberlySantini.com, under the Journal Through It tab. This is the basic Zentangle worksheet. I think it's the first one that I have listed. There's going to be 2 worksheets with today's lesson. And this just goes through some of the, or breaks down some of the most popular zentangles that I have used personally in my journal, so that you understand or have an approach on how to make them. So the first thing before you start, if you want to look at just this central area, you'll see that each of the tangles shapes happens inside a space. And all of the spaces are kind of nestled up against each other. Do you see how these are rows or ribbons or bands of pattern that sort of flow or nestle up against each other? So in order to create that effect, I want to first build a pencil plan here of what my different shapes will be. So I'm going to I like to work in that sort of ribbon format. So I'm just going to draw an undulating ribbon. Actually, you know what, before I do that, hold on. I don't want to tangle up all the way to the edge of my paper here. So I'm going to pencil in a very light line that's going to leave me a margin of paper behind. There. I'm using a mechanical pencil because it doesn't need to be sharpened. And I also really like how light the lines are that this pencil happens to create. As I'm creating these shapes or these ribbons that flow together, I'm thinking about variety. This one is narrow at this end and wide at this end. This one's narrow, gets wider, and then narrows out. Let's do one that's wide at this end, and oh, that might be too narrow. We want to give it space. This is a gum eraser or a kneaded eraser that I'm using. I find that they're far more trustworthy than any erasers that are at the end of a pencil. They don't tend to rip the paper up or leave any sort of dark streak or trail behind. They only remove the pencil. There's that. So this is roughly my pencil plan of where my designs are going to go. And once I get that pencil plan in place, I set my pencil aside and I pick up the tool that I'm going to tangle with. And the very first thing that I want to do is pick my first tangle design. So let's start with something pretty easy. How about this checkerboard with, it's got alternating dots in it, right? So let's put that along this middle right here. And in order to do that, the first thing I need to do is break my ribbon up into squares. And I guess technically these aren't all equal squares, but I am sectioning it off into stripes that are about the same as far as width. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to outline every other square. Now do you see how I've got this pattern already established? The squares that I've outlined are going to be the ones that will be dark colored with light circles. And now I'm just going to go in and I'm going to draw a circle in each one. Some of the squares are going to demand a larger circle than others. There's no right or wrong way to do this. The only, you just do what feels right. It's a doodle, right? And when we doodle on a napkin, we feel no pressure. So please don't start to put undue pressure on yourself for this sort of a process. Now I'm going to go through and I'm going to alternate coloring these in with my pen. And you'll find as you do this that you kind of slide into a nice, peaceful, quiet state. It's really quite lovely. And time will go by very quickly. I will also tell you that. So just as simple as that, I have created my very first band of pattern on this page. Looks very simple right now. So let's do another one. In this band, I'm going to do a chevron. And I'm going to use my pencil to just mark out narrower stripes. They do not have to line up with what is above. And again, I'm using super light pencil lines because I really don't want them to show up when the design is done. Now I'm choosing to make these lines parallel to the top and the bottom, or to the sides of the paper. I could have made them wonky or in any direction that I wanted. Now with this chevron pattern or herringbone pattern right here, all you do is you make your stripes and then you fill each stripe in with alternating hash marks. So in the first column here, I'm going to make my hash marks go from right to left. And in the next column, I'm going to line them up in the middle, but they're going to go from left to right. Do you see that? So they're kind of like inverted V's. Now here I'm starting with where I left them off. And if you can't get them to match up perfectly, that's okay too. But you want your columns to stretch, or you want your stripes to stretch across the little column that you've just created here. The stripe that you drew in pencil. And if you don't match your lines up perfectly, that's okay. Our brains tend to look at the pattern and think that it's matched up perfectly anyways. Isn't that cool how the pattern builds across the page? Notice too how I'm rotating the paper to just make it more comfortable for my hand to make these lines. So if you're working in a book or on a loose page, you can do the same thing. Shift the paper to make it comfortable. You also don't want to have a death grip on your pencil or your tool, because the process of zentangling can be time intensive. You can imagine if I were doing a large page here, I could be working on that for several hours, and you really don't want your arm to be super tight and grip that way. Keep things nice and as loose as possible with a gentle grip. Doesn't that look awesome? So let's do another one here. I'm looking at my options. How about something with leaves? So with leaves, you kind of want an inner and an outer. Well, when you're doing leaves, you have a central line that the leaves grow out of, and then you have an upper edge that they grow to, and you have a lower edge that they grow to. So it kind of comes out to be you have a ribbon or band with another, with a third line inside of it. So let's create a new one. Let's break this section up. And I'm not trying to place my middle line in the exact middle. I think it's more interesting, more organic when it is a little off kilter. That's just how my brain works. And a leaf shape is just sort of an oval that's pointed at either end. And I'm having the pointed end touch that inner line, and the other pointed end touches the outer line, and they nestle up against each other. I'm trying to make them similar, but they're not necessarily identical. And some will end up being shaped very differently just because of the nature of the space that you're filling in. So need a little one right there, and then I'm going to go over here. Now I can go back in and I can add stems to some of these. I don't think I'm going to add stems to all of them because some of my leaves that are really small, if I put a stem in them, it's going to look like they're almost colored in. So I'll just add a few here and there to really cement the idea that these are indeed leaves. Look at how pretty that is. So I could continue to do this all morning long, but I don't want the video to be 300 hours long. I think you can get the picture, the idea of zentangling just from what I've given you here. So I'm going to upload this Zentangle worksheet, which is a breakdown of some of the basic patterns that you see here and how to build those. And then I'm also going to give you this supplemental worksheet, which I put together during a journaling class with, I have a group of journalers that we get together every month when we're not under quarantine. And this outlines a process that I created where I'm actually stacking or layering Zentangle marks to create more complex designs. So you're going to get both of these worksheets to get you started off with some tangling. My recommendation is that your first tangle start small. Either give yourself a small window pane on the side of a journal page so that you can get the hang of it, or find a small bit of paper that you can work on and later collage into your book. If you are going to do the collage aspect, make certain that the tool you choose to write with, to tangle with, is going to be water friendly in case it gets wet during the glue process. Because it can be really frustrating if you go to glue this in after you've spent several hours working on it and you lose the intricacy of your tangles and your designs. And so I'm also going to give you some more visual examples so that you can see the variety of some of the things that you can tangle with, or how you can twist this and make it your own. So I showed you this page earlier. This is just a green Crayola marker on a regular paper. My shapes were created with these rulers that are called French curves. And these are fabulous. I'm looking to see if I have, let's see, yeah, this one. These give you fabulous shapes to trace around, and you can overline or outline them and use them as templates and get some really beautiful, clever shapes happening. I also have the circle template. I think it came from maybe an Elo building kit of some sort, but anyway, so look around your house and you'll be surprised at the kind of templates that you may be able to find that you can use to trace around and build some really interesting shapes to tangle out of or inside of. Here is another Zentangle, and this one is this was done by my daughter on a regular piece of notebook paper, and instead of using geometric shapes or ribbons for her tangles, she actually used a pointed sort of teardrop shape and filled those teardrop shapes with other elements of zentangling or other design elements. So this is very similar to, and this actually might have been a worksheet that she used for some henna designs that she was freehanding. So if you're looking for some more interesting shapes, you could also Google henna tattoos and designs, and you'll find some really wonderful intricate line work with those. The other thing that's nice about working on a loose piece of paper like this is that I can put this in my copier and make a copy of it, and then I use the copy to collage with or create more artwork with. So I'm getting a lot of mileage out of the original piece of art. Okay, I showed you this one earlier. This is a page from an old journal. I put the black paint down first. Actually, it feels like it might be It might be black gesso. And then I worked with a jelly roll pen, a white pen over top of that, using the same Zentangle patterns that are on that first worksheet. Here is a couple other tangle options. So these Zentangles are done very large scale, much larger than this. And they have some other elements incorporated with them. This is tissue paper that's collaged in here. And you'll see that I actually worked on top of an old utility bill. So you don't have to have fancy paper or even clean paper to work on. You can tangle on your junk mail. And then this is a page that's Zentangled, but instead of breaking it off into the bands, I did each stripe had a different sort of pattern. And some of these patterns were Zentangle patterns, other ones were patterns that I just made up. And I think it was done on a map. It appears that there's some atlas type marks underneath that. So another way to create some interesting design work. And then finally I have this other journal of mine, and I'm not really sure how this is going to come across on the camera because it's very glittery. Has a lot of that pearlescent watercolor that we used last week. But the Zentangles here are done in gel pen in a variety of different colors. And what I used was a circular mandala pattern, and then I broke that up geometrically into even shapes and tangled with different colors in each of those areas, and then embellished after the fact with the watercolors, just like we did with our contour drawings. And then I want to show you this last Zentangle that I did. And this one is layers and layers and layers of tangles. And this would be where this worksheet would come in for this sort of design, where I'm layering leaves, flower patterns, and spirals and rays, and using all of those together. You'll see that here's two overlapped triangles with different rays and a spiral inside of them, which is very similar to this design. And this is done with a variety of markers, gel pens, and paint pens on a surface that already had some marks on it. So I really encourage you to grab some of your favorite tools. Start out small with a little page. Where did my little page go? Start out small with a little one until you feel like you have the hang of it, and then dive in and do something really cool that's totally your own. So again, the two worksheets are over on my website under the Journal Through It tab on KimberlySantini.com. And I'm going to take a look and see if there are any questions today. I am super excited to see what it is that you guys are going to do with this, because zentangling is such a fun practice. Ooh. And we don't want to hear me twice, right? Julie, good morning. Oh, I'm so glad that you're already aware of zentangling and that you love doing it. I'm looking forward to seeing what you've been doing, Julie. You're sticking around and diving into each lesson, and it's so much fun to see. Melina, hello. Renee, I see you watching. That looks like it's about it for today. So I'm going to leave you to your tangling joy this afternoon. Remind anyone that when you share the imagery of what you're creating, please share it with the hashtag Journal Through It so that we all can have a peek and enjoy what we're creating together. Ardith will be back tomorrow at noon Eastern Time. I will be back on Thursday at 10. 10, yeah. Wow, I just totally had a brain fart there. At 10 Eastern Time. So we'll be bringing you more content later this week, and hope that you have a wonderful day. I am going to go create some new content for my painting classroom students. And maybe, just maybe, I will give them a little bit of zentangling homework to do too. So thanks so much, everybody. I hope you have a great, great day. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.